You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Do you ever feel really awkward or nervous when you go to show up on video for your business? When you go to put your face out there and speak to your audience, is that something that makes your palms go sweaty and your voice start to quaver? Because if that is you, then today's episode has been created just for you. We're going to dive into the topic all about how you can create a really strong first impression and show up with so much confidence, just being yourself, your beautiful self. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Now, just before we dive into today's episode and I played this interview for you, I wanted to quickly pop in here and let you know that right now, this week, I am hosting a live online training series. And we've had parts 1 and 2. They are now available as replays, and part 3 is coming up on Friday, my time. That may not be Friday your time, it might be Thursday night if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, but it is yet to come. So if you're listening to this episode and it is before the 20th of October, then you've definitely got time to register and come and join me live. If it's after the 20th of October, you still have the opportunity to get access to the replay, so you can dive in and catch up. Now, this is not going to be available. This is not something that's hanging around. It is only available for the next week. So please don't just mull on this. If you are somebody who is a coach, you're an online service provider, and you would like to understand the art of attracting high quality clients into your business so that you can have a highly fulfilling, high income, really wildly profitable business in part-time hours so that you have all the time for life, then this is the training for you. We go deep. I've literally got so much amazing content in this training. It's incredible. People keep telling me it's better than the paid programs that they have done because it's helping them so much understand the things that are not the obvious stuff that goes into having a successful business. It's really fun and flexible and freedom-based, right? We want to have a life of freedom. So why are we tying ourselves into businesses and the ways of running a business that are not giving us the freedom? So get into it. The link is in the show notes, or you can head to jessicaosborne.com/MYM, stands for Master Your Marketing, and get into this now. Please come and join me. Come and join me for part 3. It's going to be an absolute blast. You'll have heaps of fun. Okay, now on to today's episode. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to my special guest, who is Kerrie Wyatt, the founder of Brand Style Confidence. Now, Kerrie is a beautiful member of my Business Jam program, and we've seen her go through a pivot in her business because she started out as a portrait photographer and personal stylist, but now she has really stepped into her own and her worth in how she was able to get those amazing brand photos for her clients was all in the actual styling and the mindset and the confidence that she helped them with to show the real them, show the best version of them in their photos. So these days, Kerrie is an online visibility and confidence coach. Yes, she's a personal stylist and photographer still, and she empowers women through style, psychology, color theory, so that their personal brand is powerful, impactful, and most importantly, makes a true connection with their ideal customer. Today in this episode, we are talking all about how to have a really great first impression on video in particular, because video is the medium that we're all consuming at such a great rate. So if we're not doing video and we have a personal brand business, then we're really missing a huge opportunity to make those deeper connections, super fast, authentic connections with our audience. So I brought Kerrie on the podcast today to share with you some of her tips of how to get that confidence in your style, how to show up and be the best version of you online so that you can stop feeling awkward or like an imposter and actually start sharing with your audience the things that you have, your gifts, the things that you really want to help them with in your own way. So without further ado, let me play this interview for you. Okay, and I'm here with the beautiful Kerrie Wyatt. Kerrie is the founder of Brand Style Confidence. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kerrie. I know that we're going to have a great conversation.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and have you listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Kerrie, for those of us who don't know you and what your business is, would you be able to give us just a little bit of background as to who it is that you serve and what you really help them to do in your business?
Sure. So I like to think my coaching started way back when I was doing personal brand photography. I don't know about you, but the thought of getting photos taken for most women is very daunting. Not feeling confident or knowing what to wear. And I'd have 60% of women would tell me that they don't take a good picture. There was always something about themselves that they didn't like. So I would take on that mentor and coaching role, and I would, ask them what their end goal was, and I would give them that VIP experience. So styling their outfits and providing hair and makeup, setting the scene, taking care of all of that, and that extra bit of polish and preparation. It helped them to be bold and courageous. They felt empowered to step in front of my camera, and together we would have fun getting to their end goal. And I realized the power of these images went beyond the surface because they had more positive self-image. Yeah. So this journey just taught me that personal branding and the way you present yourself is about empowerment, transformation, and the journey to embracing and accepting the unique woman we are today. So, however, during the lockdowns, my business stopped like a lot did. And I realized when the world was put on hold and I was homeschooling my 2 children, I would not care for my appearance, and I would just throw on comfy yoga pants and slouchy T-shirts. And I didn't bother with any makeup because I didn't see the point, we're wearing masks. So I lost that morning routine and making myself feel good. So I needed to feel inspired and rediscover myself again. And I realized if I kept going this way that I was not going to get to my vision of where I wanted to be, So I had to take action and find and change my story, get the map to get out of the woods and move out of this phase of the consistent, that'll do when getting dressed. Yeah. So I had to get back to that I'm a successful woman and start dressing like I'm a successful woman. And this is the true power of clothing. And it's important to nurture those thoughts and feelings to keep them consistently in your mind. Yeah. So that's where I pivoted my business, and I used my personal style certification, and I took what served me and I developed my unique style for my body and my personal brand, and one that made me feel beautiful, inspiring, successful, and confident. And this was my fuel for my self-image, and I wanted to help other women who needed inspiration. So I got excited and I pulled out all my nice clothes out of my wardrobe. I set up my camera and I got back into my studio. And I just shined the light on myself and I hit the live record button within my Facebook group because that felt safe to me. And I shared my passion every day using my own clothes and teaching women how to style themselves for body confidence and positive self-talk. This wasn't easy, it wasn't an easy step for me. It sounds easy, but it's not. Going on video. I'd always been behind the camera, so I was battling with those voices in my head that were trying to kill my confidence each time. But I had to fight to shift my state of mind and my confidence level to do it. So I just created a framework, and it helps me to shift my mindset. And when I worked on my self-love and my self-image, that's when the floodgates opened for me. I was empowered by the way I looked, and I would do more of those things that fueled my confidence and empowered me to rewrite my story using my style. So wearing sweatpants and yoga pants won't do that. So you have to continually work at it and build on it. So I basically just created that into a program, and I shared that. So my ideal clients, people like me, coaches, consultants, mentors who are online, they may have already or looking at transitioning from brick and mortar to online like I did, and just to help them write that story in their style and build their personal brand so it can represent them.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much in what you said there, like just unpacking a little bit of it. I think that something stood out to me so much is just the empowerment that actually comes from feeling like you are showing you, but you're showing you in your best light, not the yoga pants, no makeup, not that we're trying to be anything that we're not, but it's like, well, why not feel our best and actually be, showing up in the way that feels so much like this is the real me. It's not, I haven't just gone and put on a jacket that I never have worn ever in my life before.
Yes.
And, trying to be corporate when I'm not corporate. Like, it's not that at all. What I really heard was, wow, you actually are like getting that confidence in people to be able to look and feel like themselves 100%, but that actually brings them the self-confidence that it's like, well, now I feel really good showing up and being me because I'm the best version of me that they're seeing. And I think that empowerment, like, that's just so critical, right?
Yeah, and that's how you get to that empowered state. So you can stop overthinking, getting that video done instead of focusing on just, I've got to hit that record button aspect. Like when you're lit up and feeling powerful and the value that you can bring to the table, you just rewrite your story, and you can do that using your style. And showing up on camera, it gives you the opportunity to connect with your audience on a deeper level and attract people who resonate with you and your story. So you don't need to chase people. Like those kind of connections, they're gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, just to share something else that came up while you were speaking then as well, is the difference in you when you are in that space, when you're in that zone where you feel good inside and you actually have confidence literally radiating out of you, is that people feel it. They feel it, they hear it, they see it. And you are in your power when you're feeling like that. And I think, I'm definitely going to ask you to share more of what you help people to do. But I think for me, something I've always said to people, because it was such a big lesson for me, is I'm not showing up for me, and it's not about me. And so even though I want to feel confident, it's not about what they think of me. They don't give a toss what I look like. They don't care what I look like, really. They don't actually care what how my face moves when I talk, or any of the funny things that we nitpick about ourselves and we see ourselves on camera. They don't care about any of that, right? They're actually there for themselves. They're there because of what they're going to gain. And so it's actually, you're dressing and doing whatever it is, it's actually just for you. It is literally like,
absolutely, like, right? 80 to 90% of the population, they struggle to focus on themselves because we care for others more than we care for ourselves most of the time. But you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Especially as mums.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess, we've talked about this sort of broader, how you're showing up, your personal brand, your style, what you're wearing. And then you touched on, you shifted to going live. And so being on video, which is, I think, confronting. I'm not sure on the levels, everybody probably has different comfort levels. For me, a lot less confronting than standing on a stage in front of thousands of people. That to me would be like my next level that I would need to break through. However, pushing that button on the camera and actually putting yourself in the camera, being there in the front, is certainly a big step for most of us. And I'm guessing, we're of that age where we didn't grow up with a smartphone in our hands as kids. So, my children are probably going to have a totally different experience because they're used to being on camera already. Like, they're so young and they talk to their grandparents on FaceTime and they're used to seeing themselves on camera. We never did, right? Like, we were lucky if someone had a camcorder back in the days, the old Sony.
Yeah.
And then you'd see videos of yourself and be like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. it was just awful because it was so unfamiliar. And so I think for many of us who are in that age bracket, we're Gen Y, Gen X, maybe a few Gen Zs, but we're sort of that little bit where we didn't grow up being on video all the time. It's a huge thing to do, and so this confidence around video and actually doing it, I'm really keen to dive into that. I think as a topic because video is just everywhere, right? And I think when you have a personal brand business, we are the face of the business. And if we're not using video, then you're kind of missing out on a key medium, because I always think about it as the senses. How many of the 5 senses are you touching people with? Because it's different ways that you can make a connection. And yes, they can hear you. That's great. That's one step. If they can see you and hear you, that's 2. And if it's in person and they can actually feel you, touch you, or do anything else, then you're getting an even deeper connection. But, starting off with the online video, it is a really great way to have a much deeper connection with someone than simply posting a photo or text, because they then read that in their own voice, not in your voice. So hearing you and actually seeing you talking makes such a difference. So tell us a bit about, what are your thoughts on the video? I want to dive into this topic. Why video? What is the most important part that we need to think about when we want to use video in our business?
Yeah, so when it comes to standing out on video, there are a few aspects, but the main 2 that we'll have time to cover today is you must be comfortable standing out. Obviously, it's easier said than done to say, oh, you've got to stand out, but you actually have to be comfortable standing out. So transitioning from a photography studio to the online coaching, that's intimidating. Yeah. And through research, I learned that if you want to stand out online, you have to smash your visibility blocks. So you need to get yourself into that empowerment state that I talked about. Yeah. So if you can influence yourself first, like you're dressing yourself to be the most beautiful, confident woman that you can certainly influence others. And because the way you perceive and you speak to yourself, it holds immense power in overcoming resistance and shaping how you perform on video. So when you show up as your best self, feeling good and radiating confidence, you naturally stand out from the crowd, because people are drawn to those that exude that self-assurance and they're lit up with the positive energy. And it's this magnetic quality that captivates and inspires others to stick around. So just becoming mindful of your self-talk is really important, and just believing wholeheartedly that you are enough, just as you are, no aspect of you needs to change, and just to nurture a mindset of that self-love and compassion, directing only loving thoughts towards yourself.
Yeah. So I just have a question, because I think that as women, and especially if someone hasn't been putting themselves out or being the face, they might be even the thought of standing out. It's oh, well, do I even want to stand out? And that can feel quite confronting and scary. And I love what you said, it's actually your confidence that is exuding out of you that helps you to stand out. So can we just talk to what's standing out, what we're really meaning by it and what we're not meaning, so that we can kind of go, it is actually safe to stand out, what it's not. What would you say? I think if we had a fear around standing out, what would you think people might suddenly imagine in their heads is going to happen if they choose to be the type of person that stands out?
Yeah, there would be and there's thoughts in your heads, well, what will people think of me? That negative Nancy in your mind, or, it's telling you that, no, you can't do that. Who do you think you are to stand out and teach people? That's the thing you've got to crush. And that's where you've just got to change your focus to what, the magic that you have that you can share with people, and how you can change people's lives with your service, your transformation that you give to people. Just change your mindset and focus on what you can do for other people. When you show up on video, people want you to win. They're there to cheer you on. They're not there to judge you. We are judgmental human beings, but if you can just control that self-worth of yourself, and you know that you're good enough because you
Mm.
know the value that you can bring to the table.
Yes. Oh, and I think we are always the most judgmental person on ourselves, even though it feels like, there's external judgment. It's so
Yeah.
funny because, I love to ask people, well, have you ever heard someone say that to you? Or is that actually, is it coming from inside your own head? And usually 90% of the time, it is not something that anybody else has said that we're thinking is a judgment. We've actually created it inside our own head. And so guess where that's come from? It's literally in our subconscious, and we're telling ourselves these things all the time. So interesting, isn't it? And I think that, in terms of standing out, I reckon there's fear, like, well, what am I going to have to be someone who stands out? And it might be like, well, I'm going to have to be someone who's really bold and who talks like this, or I've got to be flamboyant, or I've got to wear like crazy bright colors, or maybe I've got to swear all the time and be really like vulgar, and that will make me stand out. And it's like, well, what would you say to a person who's thinking they've got to be something else or turn into something that they actually don't want to be in order to stand out? Because I'm hearing from you that it's not like that at all.
No, like number two, my point was going to be presence. So your presence is really important in today's digital age. It's crucial to understand that you only have a mere 3 to 4 seconds to stop someone scrolling past you and making a lasting first impression. So making a good impression first time is incredibly important because you only get that one shot at it. And I know this sounds harsh, but as humans, as I said, we're conditioned to judge people. And within that first second of meeting someone or coming across someone, our opinion often doesn't change. So you must treat each time as your first impression, because you never know when your ideal client's going to first encounter you.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to manage that, you've then got 7 seconds to establish your personal brand. So your best bet is to be the best version of yourself, your image, your presence, your body language, and your clothes all becoming across as an authentic you. Given your ideal client will not read your full caption or listen to what you're saying, your only viable currency or to grab their attention is actually what you're wearing. So personal branding involves identifying your mission statement, your story. So understanding your core strengths, your unique style, your passions, your skills and interests, and continually working to deliver your message that, of course, aligns with your brand and it's to your audience. And I've got a good example of Serena Williams, a tennis star. So her personal branding is all about consistency and focus. Her brand image, it's strong, it's sexy and sophisticated. She's wowed her fans with her brilliance on the field, and she gives equal love to fashion. So I want to help people to use their style as a tactic for stopping the scroll. Now, that doesn't mean wearing the bright colors and the crazy prints. It means what you're wearing needs to resonate with your ideal client's desire and display their ultimate after. So it's crucial to focus on the end goal, that transformation that you give them, and then craft your presence to appeal to your target audience. So how do you solve, like what does your business solve for your clients? And how are they going to feel when they have received this transformation? Are they going to be confident, bold, relaxed, or balanced? Like whatever your descriptive words are, that's what your outfit should be conveying. So you're kind of like fitting in with the tribe. You don't want to be an outsider.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think that there's a subtle connection there, because it's not about molding yourself into something that you're not, that you think that your audience wants. It's what you said before. It's actually like bringing out your key message of who you are and what you're all about, but actually then choosing the clothes that are going to communicate that best. So if, like, for example, in my business, it's all about, less work, more life. I live by the beach. I love spending time with my kids. And so I go on camera a lot wearing my workout gear because I'm out walking on the beach, or I do things in actual real life situation. And every now and then I do have, some more formal clothes and a jacket and things that I wear when I am being in that sort of space. But most of my brand stuff, it is like this sort of casual, relaxed, yet professional. And
it's not that, you know, the funny thing is that you actually don't really need to try too hard to do it, because it should be what feels really, really good to you and what feels like it is your true self. And in being that, you're not suddenly wearing something that's not you, that's actually a different person.
Yeah,
which I think
absolutely.
would stop you coming through, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I always encourage people to go to their own wardrobe, because they're going to find things in there that they've worn
Yes.
before, that they've had a photo taken of themselves in that before, and they actually like what they see. So because that's them. And I mean, if you're confident wearing your workout clothes, or if you're a health expert, you know, you might just put your best workout suit on, because it makes you feel good. And that's what it all comes to. Just like, stop focusing on how you look, but focus on how you're going to change people's lives. But
Yes.
just fit in with them. Like, don't look like an outsider. Fit in with them, and how you want to help them get to their end goal, and how you want them end up feeling and being when they're finished working with you for your transformation that you give them.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like when you're actually showing that you are there, you're where they want to be, and that is what your reality is, and it's very authentic and true because you're actually doing it and you're showing them that you're doing it, then that just makes such a stronger subliminal message to them, that like, well, hey, look, this person is doing exactly what I want to be doing, and I love that, and therefore I'm, they're paying more attention, aren't they? So it's like,
yeah,
you're standing out, not in the way of like shocking or or jarring or anything like that. You're actually standing out because they're like seeing that stronger connection in you. I love that. I love that you've shared that, be that outcome, show them the outcome through who you're showing up as today.
Yeah.
That's just, it's so simple, and I think so effective and so powerful. That's amazing. Now, have you got any other tips? I guess, people thinking, right, well, getting on video, there's a lot of stuff involved. What are the things that I need to worry about? What are the things I don't need to worry about? Do you have any, like, here's just a few key things that you recommend doing so that you can kind of show that confidence and not be in your head, like fussing about all different things that you might be worried about when you're doing it? Because I think as soon as you're in your head and you're speaking from up here, you're not in your body anymore, and it kind of blocks the energy that you've, obviously we're trying to create here. We're trying to create that experience of energy.
Yeah, so you definitely want to prepare to go on video, because if you feel prepared, you can just focus on what you're going to say and your message. So that's just preparing. Like, if you only have natural light as an option, make sure you face your camera towards the natural light, and clean up your background. Like, busy backgrounds can be distracting. And preparing yourself, as I said, putting on a little bit of makeup if that's what you would normally do, and just, having your hair combed, make sure everything's neat so you're not going to fumble or fuss around with your hair and distract the viewer. And yeah, just get dressed so you feel good. If you've got certain colors that people say, oh, you look lovely today, like, use those colors. Like, if they're in your brand, those colors light you up and they make you feel good. There's a reason, there's a psychology behind all that. And yeah, just definitely just be prepared, and then have your script, not a full script, just your dot points. You want to be real, but you also don't want to forget the main points. So yeah, dot points, your main points, and then just focus on that little dot. Don't look at yourself. I often cover myself with a piece of Post-it note, cover my face so I don't look at myself, and just look at that little dot, and just talk to her as if she's your best friend. You're actually picturing that person you're talking to just sitting at home on their couch. Like, you're talking to that one person. Just focus on them and how you can transform them. And this goes for everything, showing up live and doing your recordings for your programs. Just keep that same momentum going.
Yeah, I like that. The little dot being the camera, there is something I think that's so, it's very subtle, but I think it makes a real difference when you're watching a video and the person's actually looking at you. They're looking into the camera and they're obviously not looking somewhere else. So you can tell when people are looking at themselves on their screen when they're recording. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You might be checking out that you're in the frame and all of these other things. But I would kind of like check, but then go back to the camera, like try to get that eye contact happening with the person who's watching, because they will feel it and they will see it, and it'll just have that deeper impact for sure. Yeah, and so you've got this framework that you mentioned that is helping people to have the more confidence to show up on video, or explain a little bit more about what that process is that you're taking people through and what it does.
Yeah, so I call it the confidence code. It's key to connecting with yourself, realizing who you are inside and expressing it outside. So you can no longer depend on the opinions of other people. And the sooner you do it, the quicker you can start feeling proud to show up for your brand with powerful first impressions that establish your expertise and represent your message.
Oh, that's great. And so you're taking people through a process of really understanding what their personal brand is, and then obviously being able to kind of get out onto camera is one of those, you know, important steps, because as we said, connecting with people through video is just so powerful. So what do you see as some of the things that are really holding people back right now when they aren't in the place where they've got, you know, what you would call that personal brand that's able to attract those people to them? Like when they don't have the energy, or maybe the personal brand's not there, what are some of the challenges that maybe they're experiencing inside their heads about it, or that they're maybe doing, and that you would say, well, these are the real signs that, you know, we need to do something to move you into the next phase?
Yeah, so I would say that people tend to hide in getting on camera because there are other ways that they can get their content out there. But realizing that video is the most powerful way to get someone to stop the scroll, just realizing that and being able to think, can I actually do this? And the fact is that it's not as complicated as people might think it is, or they may just overlook the whole process or the daunting, you know, feelingness of getting on video or putting themselves on camera. Like that's normal. Like coming from photography, it's like, yeah, like people would rather go to the dentist than come and see me and have their photo taken. It's like no one wants to do it, but oh my God, the outcome that it has is empowering. Like after a few videos you see yourself, you're actually like empowered by the way you see yourself. And it's just a constant reminder that you actually can do it. And as I said, if you can just change your focus on helping people, making a transformation in people's lives, like just stick with that. That's your passion. And show up as if you're just talking to your best friend. Like it's really not something you have to overthink. And it is the most powerful way to stand out, as I said. And having yourself on video, if you've got long form video content, you can cut that out and you can turn that into short form video content. You can turn that into a post, a carousel. Like it makes it actually easier to come up with content ideas. You can just cut things out. So if you can show up on live video, you're not spending hours stopping recording and going back and deleting and re-recording because you're trying to perfect it all. Like I've wasted time doing that. So I don't want people to do that. Just if you show up live, you can just speak your message and cut it later. Cut it and put it into content later.
Yeah, I so agree. And it's like, I don't think anyone sits there and criticizes someone on a live video and going like, oh my goodness, so, you know, they stumbled over that word, or they said or it's like, it honestly doesn't matter, because we all do it. Like we all have those moments, and no one else thinks anything less of you because you're doing it. They actually, I would say, probably think, wow, look at her, she's so confident because she's just going live on camera and saying something. And that then gives, they're probably thinking, I wish I was like that. And so, it's funny, isn't it? Because we're sitting there thinking they're going to be criticizing how good we are. And actually, they're probably sitting there thinking, I wish I could do that.
That's right. That's right. And there's nothing wrong with wishing to be like that person. Like, that actually is inspiring. So use that to inspire yourself to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and authenticity, I used to say authenticity is the new black. Like, it's so powerful, and we're finally being rewarded for being ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. That's beautiful. And so if somebody's thinking, I really need to, start thinking about my personal brand, and then think about how I can show up better and what have you, what sort of ways might they be able to reach out to you and get some more tips on, just the way to have a really authentic, and I think what you're talking about is, a personal brand that is showing you and the best part of you, and not being a personal brand that you're creating that isn't you, because really that's so hard to do. I think anybody who's trying to create a persona that's not them, how difficult is that to keep up that pretense, that act, that play for so long? And then you're probably always going to feel like you need to shift it as well to be on trend or to be what people like. It's like, it's not about what other people like. It's actually about you. And the more that you show up as you, aren't you going to just be drawing in the people who really engage with that and love it? And they see it. Like, we all do see it. We feel it when somebody's being genuine, when they're authentic, when they're really speaking from the heart about something they're passionate about. You can tell because it just comes out of them, as opposed to it being, well, here's something that I want to talk about, and it's very kind of robotic. There's a total difference there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right. So I do have a program called Brand Style Mastery where I take you through, it's self-paced, but you can get started straight away, and you can take action on every module straight away. The powerful part of it is your colors and the personality, that you can take advantage of the psychology of colors and use it in your branding, as well as your self-talk. Like one of my colors is the golden tone of yellow. So this not only lights me up, it complements my features, but it represents.
Wearing it right now.
Yeah. It is one of them. But it complements me, and it complements my brand, and it does represent that the person that I am. Like, I love color, and color's not for everyone, but I'm sure I can convince you to find a few colors that are going to be the best colors for you, and you can use them in your brand and take it to your full advantage, because you can really build connections and build emotion with people with color. It's so powerful. I obsess over it.
It's so simple, isn't it? It's like that one thing that we don't, consciously think about, but when someone has a strong color, or it doesn't have to be a strong, like bold color, but you have a color that is your color and that's used in your, in your brand, and you might wear it, you accessorize with it, whatever it is that it might be, over time, with that consistency of using it, they recognize it as you. And so, they see that color, and then you're popping into their mind. And I think that's one of the real powers of it as well, is, it's not about choosing a color that's everywhere or choosing a color other people like. It's like actually choosing your color. Like you saying, you help people to really find what is the right color for you, so that you can bring that in and actually then shine it out as part of your brand, so that it becomes part of your brand style and messaging, which I love. Thank you. So, okay, so we're going to get our colors, and what else do you do to help people get to that amazing kind of really strong personal brand?
Yeah, so whether you're starting out with your personal brand or you want to elevate your personal brand and your look, it can help you either way. So, we're going to get really clear on who you are, who you help, how valued you are, so we can really understand that, you are really valuable, and believe it. Come on, believe it, because you're actually, writing everything down, that why you are you and where you've come from, and, you know, take note of all your flaws and all your mistakes and all your good bits, and everything comes into account because it is who you are. So we're you know, building your brand on who you truly are. And then we're looking at actually another part we're looking at is your body. Like, we look at how to style your body, because we're all different and beautiful. And if you find some outfits and you're like, oh, I want that, but that's not going to look like you. Like, you're not going to look like that model because that's not your body. So, you know, you can find items in your own wardrobe. It's not going to cost you anything extra. You can just restyle them. And yeah, so I love to teach about those body image and how you can flatter yourself, basically. And
love that. I love that it's like, find the items in your own wardrobe. So it's not like you're going to do this and suddenly you need to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe of clothes. It's like, no, actually, you probably got the pieces already. It's just about learning how to identify them and then style them. So yeah, that's really great.
Yep. And we just make sure it all intertwines with your personal brand. So nothing's going to look out of place. If you've already got your website, for example, you know, we want to make sure everything is consistent. So, you know, we're not going to lose that trust of people when they come across and stalk you on social media, and then they go stalk you on your website and something's amiss. You know, you're sending mixed messages. So you want to make sure you're not sending those mixed messages and sending people away, because you can scare them off doing that. So we make sure everything, comes intertwined and everything is consistent, and you're showing your authentic self. You're not changing who you are, maybe just putting a little bit of polish on who you are. So yeah, that's what I love to help women with.
Amazing. That's awesome. And so if they want to, you know, find out a bit more about you or connect with you, do you have a social media account that you like to hang out on? Where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, which is Brand Style Confidence. I'm also brandstyleconfidence.com. And I have thrown in a little freebie. So it's 25 tips for style and confidence in the virtual world. So you'll be able to download that and start with those tips to get you moving.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely grab the link for that freebie and pop it in the show notes here, so you can download Kerrie's 25 tips for brand style confidence. I think that's just sounds amazing. That's what we all need, is just to have a bit more confidence in ourselves and to be able to show up online and not be hiding, right? Not be hiding behind a mask or hiding behind something else that's not ourselves, because there's enough of that out there. And I think you see the people who are really doing the best are those ones who connect with you on that emotional level. And being humans, we all need to have a human connection to do that. So thank you, Kerrie. This has been such a great chat. I think, you know, we've all heard about it before, like, you know, everyone's heard, we need to be on video. But I think today there's been some really great insights as to, you know, why it's not scary, why it doesn't have to be something different from you, why you don't need to really change you, but how much it is just, you know, those little steps to understand your personal brand and who you are, to give yourself the confidence, like not to kind of put you out there to be judged from other people. It's actually like, from what you're saying, your big message is like, it is your self-confidence and how you're showing up, so that you can actually really share the best parts of you with people. And that's what they're looking for. You know, they're really looking for the person who's like showing up confident and being able to have that authority in that space. So I think that for me was the most powerful thing that you've shared today, and so valuable as well. Because I think we all, as women, we've grown up in this highly judgmental world. We think that everybody's judging us all the time. And, you know, it actually, you know, my own experiences, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. And the more that you kind of are just yourself unapologetically, but, you know, you're just saying what you want to say because you're helping someone else, and not because you're trying to, you know, you're not trying to stir up a nest or stand out by being rude or anything like that, if that's not your personality, then, when you're being yourself, people really see it and they really connect with that vibe. So thank you for sharing your couple of steps of your framework. I know that there's so much more inside your program of, how you go through building that brand, before you're getting out on the camera, just so that you have that confidence. So thank you, Kerrie. This has been really great.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely to chat.
Yeah, amazing. All right, well, I'll link those things up in the show notes. You can jump over to Instagram or Facebook and follow Kerrie, download her 25 tips, and I will speak to you all next week. Now, if you're a professional offering coaching or done-for-you services and you're not currently attracting enough clients, and the ones that you are attracting are not high quality, meaning they're not the sort that will light you up inside or paying premium rates, and they're just not feeling like a great match for you, then it's very likely you've simply got a disconnect happening in your marketing strategy, which the good news is really easily fixed when you know how. So I'd like to invite you to join me for my only free and live training that I'm running this year in 2023, and it's called Master Your Marketing. I'm going to share with you the strategic principles you can apply today in your business so that you can attract the high quality clients and be working less and earning more. So you have more free time to spend with your family or for yourself or doing whatever it is that you love to do most. So this training is split into 3 separate sessions, just so that it's not too much all in one go. I really like to get rid of the overwhelm. Let's make this super, super simple. It starts on the 12th of October and it's going to run over the course of about 10 days. So there'll be 3 live sessions. There will be plenty of chat and time to connect in between. Yes, there will be replays, and I'm even planning a secret podcast for those people who have registered so that you can consume that content in a way that really makes sense for you, especially if you are already a podcast listener and you like to listen when you're out on your walks or driving or doing other things, then I've got you covered. So head to jessicaosborne.com/MYM. and pop your name down on the list to register for this training now. You're only going to get access to it if you are registered, and there's so much fun that we're going to have. This is the one time I'm, really throwing open the doors, having a bit of a party. You're all invited. Come and join me for it. We're going to have an absolute blast. So that is starting the 12th of October, and all you need to do is head to jessicaosborne.com/MYM. The link is below in the captions, in the show notes. So please get yourself on that list, register now, and we can connect before the training even starts and start having a lot of fun together. So that's jessicaosborne.com/MYM for Master Your Marketing. Let's master your marketing this year.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of She's the Business podcast. I hope that you've been enjoying it as much as I have in creating the content to bring to you. So I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your presence and your attention. Now, if you love the podcast, or maybe you just loved today's episode, then I would absolutely appreciate it if you would go to Apple Podcasts, scroll down, hit the 5 stars, and then leave me a short review about what it was that you really enjoyed in this episode, or maybe in the podcast overall. And when I receive those reviews, then I love to give those reviewers a shout out on my future podcast episodes. So you never know, you may hear your name getting a shout out in a future episode if you do that. So thank you once again for your time, and I'll see you next time on She's the Business.